don't think I have. I don't think I have. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to assess ourselves, and we have all done the test. You have done the assessment test. So what we have on the screen is the result of the assessment, the result of everybody's assessment. And I'm saying here that it has been proven that our personalities actually naturally before now have been divided into two: people that are introverts and people that are extrovert. That is the major two that we have. Now, based on different studies, they now said this two is actually now grouped into two. The first two, which is introvert, is divided into two, which is there are people that are introvert, there are people that are introverts. And we have the extrovert also. He said there are people that are extrovert and there are people that are extrovert. Which means one is deeper than the other. So this is the four major groups. The four major groups, right? So about the introvert, the extrovert, the first two, which are two introverts, are called by different names, right? We have one that is called the phlegmatic, and we have the people that are called the melancholy. Both of them are introverts. The two here, both of them, they are actually the introverts. Now, the other extrovert, which I said is divided into two, also are the cholerics and the melancholics. They call it different names. And these are the names actually. So we have two introverts and two extroverts. So the two introverts are the phlegmatics and the melancholy, and the two extroverts are the cholerics and the sanguine. All these people have their own characteristics. They have their strengths and they have their weaknesses. Now, in some organizations or some ministries or some school of thought, a lot of people use different things to represent theirs. These four groups are the major ones that everybody knows all over. Now, these studies, some people use color to differentiate these ones. Some people use animals. So, for example, if you say they are choleric, they will say choleric is a lion. They will say a sanguine. They all have names. They all use animals to represent them, just like color. Some people use color. So if you go to some school of thought, they when you talk about emotional social intelligence or emotional intelligence, they will do something like this, right? And it's just for us to be able to identify our personalities. And some people say, this is who I am, this is what I am. And we're going to talk about it and also try and mystify some of the things that we have attached as our personalities, which, yes, it is. Yeah, some is an inbuilt, some is a trait, but I'm going to break it down a bit if it is possible, right? I'm going to break it down a bit now to help us know that all these things can also be worked on. I'll get there in few minutes, right? So now some people use vehicle as their own illustration. So when you say choleric, you will hear intimidating armor. That is a vehicle. That is another vehicle to explain the characteristics of cholerics. Now we have the sanguine, and the vehicle used is convertible, creative convertible, right? That is another one for sanguine. For phlegmatic, that is dependable truck. And then we have melancholy, systematic Ford. Now that's another one. Other people, they use other ones like DISC, dominant director, influencer. They use all the, they use DISC, DISC, compliance. All these are also the four types of personality. So different people come up with different things. They are all speaking or saying the same thing, right? And for us now, we can either use the vehicle, or we use the normal one, the choleric. Instead of calling it a choleric, they use other names. They use intimidating armor. They use red. They use lion. They use any other things different, but they are all saying the same thing. Now, we studied and discovered that here. Look, guys, don't say this is who I am, because there's what we call the blends. Now, by the time they blend, they mix this personality, what it means is that you will see your trait in a particular personality, and you see part of your trait also in another particular personality. So you will see here what we have there. We all have all the personalities. Can you see that? Some says I have 11. The difference is just that the proportion is what differentiates. So the data, for example, at 11, at 19, at 20, and 20, which means she has the compass, they has the tendency to be a choleric, she has the tendency to be a sanguine, she has the tendency to be a phlegmatic, she has the tendency to be a melancholic. But the one that in our natural habitation, she play more is the one that we see. So the one that you have the highest call is the one that we call ourselves. Now, coming back to what I was saying, we have the blend. So, like, if you look at this now, for example, Dara, she has 2020, so she can be flag male, which means they call you by your highest, then the next highest is now the secondary one. The first is the primary, and the next the secondary. So for me, I want to use Dara to add 20, or permit me to use 21. Dara, hope you don't mind. Hello, Dara, can you hear me?
No, I do not.
All right, so I just want to use as an example. You already know your score, so I just want to use this as an example. Now, some of these things I'm teaching on, some of us, you have done that in the school. Like I did LBS, and in LBS they use color to do the same thing. So this I'm explaining to us is something that you do in higher institution. You do it in most of these, even when you're doing an MBA and you're doing something that has to do with psychology and all that, they would sometimes they would talk about the emotional intelligence and all these trainings that will help you to know yourself in a corporate organization. Now, taking Dara, for example, Dara at 21, like I said, she has already permitted me to adjust it a bit. She had 21 in phlegmatic, and she had 20 in melancholy. So if I want to call Dara now, and based on her personality, I would say that she is phleg male. Phleg male, which means phleg is the primary and male is the secondary. So she is phleg male. Do we get that? Right? Okay, so next one, Olumide now. Olumide has choleric as number 1. She had 21 in San and 21 in melancholy. But I'm only going to pick 2 of it. So I'll go to pick Carl. And most of the time, I can easily tell you, based on some of the interactions and some of the studies we've done, we will discover that most times when somebody has choleric as a secondary temperament, most of the time, the next complementary personality or temperament is always melancholy. If you have Sun, your complementary or secondary primary temperament most of the time is phleg. It may not be right, but I've said if you are part of extrovert, we will always have part of you that is introvert. So coming back to Olumide now, Olumide is choleric, that is 22 in choleric, and 21 in Sun, 21 in male. But I want to pick male as the secondary personality. We're going to do another test that will help us to reveal this now. So I can say now, Olumide is called male. Called male, right? So please permit me, all of us that has 2 temperaments that is close, I want to adjust it a bit. Hope you don't mind. The next temperament will help us to explain that better. All right, so let me just do something here so that it will not confuse those people here, right? Hello, can I continue?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Good. So, but the truth is this, by the time we talk about the blend, now, when you say call male, male call, and all that, the one we are using, which I've used to explain, for example, I pick Fola now. Fola, with the adjustment I just made, Fola will now be phleg San. Phleg is the highest, followed by the next one, which is San, right? For Banji, will be male either male flag or male sign, depending on the one we want to pick. The next one is Busayo that has 28 in his flag, so she will be flag male. So if you know yours now, this literally says this is your temperament based on your own assessment. There are some other studies that will play up the way you think about yourself, the way people think about you, and all that. Now, these are some of the assessment. Anyway, so if you look down, if you scroll down, you will see your own personality. For example, Daniel's personality is male core, which is male core. He is more of melancholy and choleric. And I'm going to explain the blend. I'm going to explain that later. Now, Aderinwola, as she is San, what is that?
Sun flag.
Sun flag. She is Sun flag. Now, if you look at Daniel and Aderinwola, there is tendency for them to misunderstand one another. Why? Because from Daniel's personality, he is a go-getter. Not only that, he's perfectionist. He's somebody that is always wants to be. He plan his life. He plan everything. But the personality I'm seeing with Aderinwola, which I'm still going to explain, she is impulsive. Aderiola's personality is impulsive. She works based on how she feels. She wants to get alive. She wants to enjoy the moment and make her feel good. But the Daniel personality that I'm seeing, I may be wrong, but based on the little understanding of the study on this personal mixture and personality, it shows here that Daniel had the tendency to plan his life, think about what people are thinking, and he wants to be in the right mood of mind, frame of mind. He thinks some of the things that you might be saying, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. But Aderiola's own is, it does not need to make sense for it to make sense. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So there might be occasions where there'll be clashes in opinion. And if the person does not say the right word, one other person will have the tendency to depart, not wanting to talk to one another, because they are not seeing things from the same perspective. I just use them as an example. I also have here, who again is very close. It's because I'm down, like I'm close down. I've used those people up there, but it's because if you look at what I'm doing here, I'm close down. That's why I'm using them as an example. Now, this personality that I just gave us, sorry, are we on the same page, guys? Can I continue? I should just stop.
Yes, on the same page.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, am I making sense?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, good. So let me maybe I should just pick another person, Busayo and Tosin. For Busayo and Tosin has almost the same personality. Now, that is, they are flag. Tosin Busayo is flag male, while Tosin is flag son. Now, and it might be flag son or flag core. Now, these people also have the tendency to leave things to chances. Decision making may be a bit challenging, but one person have the capacity to make fast decision, while the other person will wait on others, in making decision. Now, the reason why I'm saying all this is when the decision is made for Busayo, for example, when a decision is made, they've reached a decision, changing that decision will be a bit hard for Busayo, because you must make that the decision you have made must make sense for us to make that adjustment. If not, hazard changing this thing would not really work. But for her to make decision, it may be very, very difficult or not very fast in making decision. Now, compare with Tosin. Tosin is almost like that also. But somebody that wants to maintain anything that we have attained will be more of Busayo than with Tosin. Let me see if what I've just said makes sense, or maybe it's a bit correct or not correct. Maybe I should just take feedback from Busayo. Busayo, the way I assessed you, am I right or wrong or right? I know I'm right or right.
You're right, sir.
Good. So I'm just using this as an example. However, this blend, some other studies came and they did another study that instead of calling them flag male, male sang, and flag these things, they came up with another name for it. So the study though grouped into 4. So the blend, for example, if which one of the maybe I'll send the link to us in our groups. We have under 16 personalities. So the blend now made up 16 altogether. The blends. So it's flag male, male sang, male sang, all these blend make up 16 different personalities. So we have these 16 different personalities, though they are all still grouped into 4. They are all still grouped into 4. So, but the way it is now done, so if you do the test, you will see somebody that will say, I'm a counselor, and somebody will say, my personality, the name they give it, it differs in different places. Differs, right? So you see some people, they are advocates and all that. Now, these are different personality. And I need to also introduce this to us just to give us clarity. Now I've explained all these aspects of personality. At the same time, in this area of personality, I want to also introduce to you that we are grouped into these 2 people based on our soul levels, soul assessment. Soul assessment in the sense that, we are assessing our soul. The soul part, we have the emotion, the feelings, and all that, the will, the emotion, and the desire, as it were. Now, this soul assessment is still part of this, which can be assessed this way. In other words, we are grouped into 2. We say some people are thinkers and some people are feelers. Some people are thinkers, some people are feelers. Now, we have the people that thinks and we have the people that feels. Okay, let me put it this way for us to understand a bit. Now, everybody, we are all thinkers. We think. We are all thinkers. Everybody. But what we think about differs. What you think about, what I think about, different. They are all different, though we think about different things. Right? So your thinking process might be different from my thinking process, right? So the question is this. Also, the question is this: what are you thinking about? Now, I want to group us also. I wish I still have the assessment test where you can do the assessment on the thinkers and the feelers. I've forgotten where I have the document, but let me quickly explain. Now, there are people that think about the past. There are people that think about the present. And there are people that think about the future. These are 3 different people. Now, there are some group of people that think about the past. There are people that think about the present. And there are people that think about the future. These are the groups, right? So all these choleric, these things falls within this, right? So some people be thinkers, some people be feelers, but I just want to explain this. Now, there are people that, the people that think about the past pick their reference, their strength, their weakness from the things that have happened in the past. These are the people that we can never forget dates, minutes, hours, location, dress, and all that. They put reference to the past. So some things that happened to them in the past as a way of playing up in their decision-making in the present. So some people, if your husband or your partner is somebody that is a past person, that is think about the past, which means all the things that have happened in the family when he was growing up and all that, we call it adverse effect. I'm going to explain all these ones later, but we have what we call childhood adverse effect. This is what determines your wiring, and I'm going to explain the wiring part. Now, you think about the past, you remember what happened to you, the location, the time, the when, and all that. These are people that have strength, either strength or weakness in their past. They are the people that think about the past. And those people that think about the past, we call them the mind people. The mind people. The people that think about the past, we call them the mind people. Right? So I've explained that. Now, there are people that think about the presence. The presence. The people that think about the presence are people that the presence have a grip on them. What happens around them, what people say, how people look at them, and the joy of the moment, the sadness of the moment, all these things affect them. These are the presence people. And those people, they are who we call the feelers. We call them the emotional people. Emotional people. The emotional people are the people we actually call the feelers. Sorry, I want to be sure that we are listening. If you are listening and you are here, can you go to the chat room and say, go on PKO? I want to be sure that we are listening. If you can, if this class is making sense, go to the chat room and go on PKO. Write on PKO. I think that one is better. Write on PKO. If it's making sense, just go to the chat room and say either go on PKO or write on PKO. Thank you very much. I can see 2, 3, 4, 5 responses. Right. Good. All right. So, like I said, we are talking about character development. I'm talking about the way you are wired. Those are the things we're actually focusing. And I said, please, it's going to take my time. It's going to take a lot of time. Just bear with me. I want to explain this before I talk about the characteristics, the attributes, and all this. I just want to give us a better clarity on this discussion. Now, I've talked about the mind people. I've talked about the emotional people. Now, the last person is the people that think about the future. The people that think about the future. The people that think about the future, we call them the will people. The will people. So I've said we have the mind people, we have the emotional people, which are the feelers, and we have the will people. All these are part of the personality. Are part of the personality. So in some of the studies that is done, you will see, if you do the 16th personality, you will see a place where they put the feelers, we call the thinkers. We call some people the intuition. We have people that are judgmental. All these things are part of it. But I just want to explain how they get this. These thinkers are people that either think about the mind, and that is why sometimes when they talk, you will hear the statement, the thinkers always use the statement, I think we should do it. I think it's not a good idea. I think we should move on. You know, there's the thinkers always use that phrase, I think. But the feelers, which is the emotional people, that they will say, I don't feel right. I don't feel right. I don't feel we should go on. I don't feel. So you hear the word feeling. I feel. I don't feel right about this. I don't feel right. Some people say, I don't think it's right. You know, the thinkers say, I don't think it's right. While the feelers will say, I don't feel this is right. You know, these are a group of people. So as I'm talking now, please assess your partner or assess yourself. Which one are you? Go to the chat room and put your own. Which one do you think you are? Are you a thinker? Are you a mind person? Are you an emotional person? Are you a will person? There's an assessment that will also give us this result. But which one are you? Right? Go to the chat room right away. I want to see it. I'm looking at the chat room. I'm not seeing anyone. Which one do you think you are? The mind person, the emotional person. Are you a mind person? Are you a feeler? Or are you a thinker? Write it in the chat room. Let's go quickly. I want to see the result. The mind person, yes. Olumide say I'm a thinker. Visayo say I'm a feeler. Yes. Visayo, your own is very obvious. Peter say I'm a feeler. I've not seen your result, but he said I'm a feeler. Very good. Right. Oni say I'm a thinker. Your result also says that. Logical. Yes. And Adiola, which means what I said about Adiola, and they're very correct. They are thinkers, they are feelers. All right. Any other person? I want to see the result, and I'll be reading those results. Now, let me digress a bit and focus on this mind, emotion, and will person, right? Now, just for us to be able to think about it, before I come back to why are you the way you are, I'm going to talk about it. Yewande said, I am a thinker. Martin says, I am a feeler. Let me look at Yewande's results. Yewande, you are not sure what you are because your result is saying here that you are more a feeler than a thinker, which means you are going to do your test again. right? Tosin said, I am a thinker. Your results, yes, your results show something like that. Anyway, let's go on a bit, right? Now, so a mind person will not go on until you have resolved the things of the past. A will person will say, it has happened, let's go on. Do you get that? The mind person says, it has happened. A mind person will say, we need to resolve this. It has to make sense before we can move on. A will person will say, okay, a will person will say, it has happened, so let's go on. A will person, sometimes we want everything to add up and then we move on. But a feeler is, if it doesn't feel right, if it's not okay emotionally, nothing you can do. A feeler can make an appointment today, but it doesn't feel like going out, he's not in the mood, that is the word, not in the mood, he just changed his mind or her mind. That is a feeler for us. All right, so now, all this assessment that as I've just done now, it just revealed to us it just said a little about ourselves, just for you to know yourself. And I don't want us to take this this training for granted, right? I want us to please look at it. So you have done your own assessment. Now, how are you wired, or why are you wired this way? So it's going to be our next discussion. It's going to be our next discussion. Permit me, I want to. Okay, so